What's going on, good people? Welcome back to the channel. I hope everyone's doing safe out there on the old interweb. So I want to do and talk about today a person that I've just gotten into, Brandi Carlile, and her new album, In These Silent Days. Now you may be asking yourself, who is Brandi Carlile? I'm going to tell you how I kind of got into her a couple years ago, and then we'll get to this album. So a couple years ago, I discovered an album called The Highwomen in 2019. And The Highwomen is a band composed of Amanda Shires, Marion Morris, Natalie Hemby, and Brandi Carlile. Now, their intent was to make a female version of, I guess, the Highwaymen, where they did, songwriting. They all take their vocal turns like the Highwaymen did. And they are a powerhouse band group when they tour. If you get a chance to see them, please do so. So that's how I got into some of those ladies. Amanda Shires, I had gotten into, for some of you that don't know, she's married to Jason Isbell. That's kind of led me down that path. And Marion Morris, I had heard on the radio. And then Natalie Hemby, kind of the same way. So I just got into these ladies through the Highwaymen. So the other day, as I was searching new music, as I always do, I came across that Brandi Carlile had released a brand new album, and I had to listen to it. So I've been jamming this for the last couple days, and I just wanted to drop my thoughts and review on it. Now, apparently, Brandi is from the Seattle area and was born June 1st, 81, which is kind of cool because I was born in 81, so we're kind of the same age. I dig that. Now, let's talk gear, because we always talk gear. From what I can tell, for the most part, she is a singer-songwriter, and she uses what looks to be a Gibson J45 for the most part. Most of the videos and photos I've seen have been with her with a J45 or Gibson of some sort. So that's kind of cool, because most of you may tell that I'm a kind of a big Gibson fan. They make great instruments, not knocking other brands, not endorsed by Gibson. It's a personal taste. So there you go. So anyways, let's get into this. So Brandi Carlile, In These Silent Days, was released October 1st of 2021. It is 10 songs and it is 38 minutes. So as I was digging into this, I found out that it is produced by Dave Cobb. I did a video about Blackberry Smoke where I mentioned that if I had an opportunity to have an album produced, if I had ever been lucky enough to have that done, I would want Dave Cobb behind the board. And interesting enough, this album was also produced by Shooter Jennings. Now, Shooter Jennings, if you haven't heard that name, yes, he is the son of Waylon Jennings. He has some great solo albums that you need to check out. Put the O Back in Country, The Wolf, great albums. I had the opportunity to see Shooter a few times here in my hometown. Never been disappointed. Shooter's just a great artist in his own right. So to hear those two influences on this album, Dave Cobb and Shooter Jennings, is very interesting. So once I found that out, I re-listened to the album, and I can hear their influence. I love Dave Cobb's stuff. The stuff that Shooter has produced, I really enjoyed his solo albums, like I said. So to hear their stamp on this is really great. And Brandi Carlile herself is not a force to take lightly in the songwriting community. If you've never heard her stuff, is this album where you should start? You could start with this. There are some songs on here that I'm fixing to talk about where she flexes her muscle as a songwriter and as a vocalist. That's just phenomenal. And let's get into it. So, what do you hear when you hear Brandi Carlile? I'm going to tell you, you're going to hear influences, and I may be wrong. This is just my ear. I always say that. I don't know her, obviously. I've read a little about her. I know the Highwomen sound that I really enjoyed, but this is just what I hear. So I hear influences from Bonnie Raitt. I hear Joan Baez. I hear the band like Levon Helm, Robbie Robertson. Um, I hear a little bit of Soundgarden, believe it or not. Um, I hear multiple influences, but those are the ones that I hear the most. I hear some Dolly Parton. Um, those are the things that I've picked up the most while I've listened to this. So let's get into my top three like I always do. So for number three, if I was going to hand you this and say, hey, here's my number three jam on this, it's going to be Sinners, Saints, and Fools. Now, Sinners, Saints, and Fools, I love a song that tells a story. This is the number 9 song on the album, and it runs 4 minutes and 32 seconds. And I just absolutely got sucked into the lyrics on this. Just the story of a gentleman with his Bible, reading through it. The production on it, I hear like a Reba McEntire, like fancy, or I also hear like That's the Night That the Lights Went Out in Georgia influence on this. Now that's just me, like I said, that's my ear, but that's just kind of what I hear on this. But I also hear that that Joan Baez, Linda Ronstadt kind of influence with her vocal delivery, which is really awesome. You're talking about royalty there, right? But her vocal delivery on this track is just outstanding. So if you get a chance, Sinners, Saints, and Fools is my number 3 pick on this album. Now, moving to my number 2 song. My number 2 song has to be Mama Werewolf. Now, Mama Werewolf is the number 6 song on the album, and it runs 3 minutes and 41 seconds. Now, Mama Werewolf, again, the lyrics are great. She's flexing her songwriting muscle again for us. And I hear Long Black Veil by the band, or their version of it. I hear that in this. Now, you might not hear that, but that's what I hear. And with her vocal delivery, that was just the vibe that I got, and I really enjoyed that. Like I said, it runs 3 minutes, 41 seconds. It's a very low-key track, but it just sucks you in with her songwriting. Her songwriting is so great on this. So there you go. That's my number 2 pick off this. So my number 1 song, like I say all the time, I like to dig into an album and find the gems, the ones that may not get the radio airplay, but they're the ones that's really going to touch you musically, because that's what music is meant to do, right? It's meant to give us a voice. So my number 1 song on here is called You and Me on the Rock, and it features Lucius. Now, Lucius, I hope I said that right. If I didn't, I apologize. But Lucius is actually a band from Brooklyn, New York, and they've appeared on some stuff that I've listened to, and I've never really dug into them. They appeared on Lucas Nelson's album, and they had some cuts on there, but they're a 4-piece band from Brooklyn, and they add a little flavor to it. Now, this track, I think this is just a gem as far as her vocal delivery, her songwriting skills, and the overall production of this. It's full sounding. Her vocal is like Linda Ronstadt, Joan Baez, Bonnie Raitt, just pulling on your heartstrings with it. And it's got an old vintage vibe to it, but obviously it's a new song because it just dropped. But it's the number 2 song on the album, 3 minutes, 50 seconds. And if I handed you the album and said, hey, put this on, go to this song, start here, this would be it. You and Me on the Rocks. And just the instrumentation, like I said, the production, and Brandi's vocal delivery on this just sucked me in, and I've listened to it over and over. So there you go. So on my jam scale, what do I give this? Man, it's a 5 out of 5. This album, around the house, in the car, just as background music, it doesn't deserve just to be background music. It deserves a sit down listen. but it's just so good. It flows very well. The production on it's great. The track organization flows. I really like that in an album. Her versatility as a songwriting and as just overall musician is great. Her vocal delivery, like I said. So yeah, give this a listen. As always, comment below, subscribe. Brandi Carlile, in these silent days. And as always, remember that music is love and love is music. Stay safe. We'll see you next time.